Most of us just put our car in drive and go, right? We don't really think about the incredible mechanical dance that's happening deep inside the drivetrain. But in your gearbox, there's a hidden friction battle being fought thousands of times a minute.
And this is the story of clutch pack wear. It's a silent, microscopic process that ultimately decides whether your transmission lives a long, healthy life or if it suffers a complete, catastrophic failure. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how that battle is won or lost.
All right, so to really understand the battle, we've got to meet the soldiers. And right at the heart of every single automatic gear change is this component right here, the clutch pack.
And its design is actually pretty simple. You've got a drum, and inside there's a stack of plates that alternate. You have friction plates, which have the special high grip material, and then these super smooth steel separator plates. When hydraulic fluid rushes in and pushes on a piston, it squeezes that whole stack together with incredible force, locking them up as one solid unit to send the engine's power on its way.
Now here's the cool part. A clutch's strength isn't some kind of magic. It's all pure engineering. How much torque it can handle comes down to a precise calculation. It's about the grip of the material, the force of the hydraulics, and just the sheer number and size of those plates. If any single one of those factors starts to degrade, well, the clutch's ability to hold power just nosedives. And that's exactly where the trouble starts.
But hey, every hero has a villain, right? For our mighty clutch pack, there are three main enemies constantly working to bring it down. We're talking heat, low pressure, and contamination. Let's just be absolutely clear about this. Heat is public enemy number one, period. Think about it. Every time you shift gears, there's a tiny moment of controlled slip, and slip creates friction, which of course creates a ton of heat. When that heat gets out of control, it actually changes the chemistry of your transmission fluid, destroying its ability to cool and lubricate. It literally bakes the resin in the friction material, which creates more slip, which creates even more heat. It's a nasty, destructive feedback loop.
And all that heat, it brings us right to our second enemy, low pressure. See, with the right amount of hydraulic pressure, those plates lock up fast and clean with hardly any slip. But if that pressure is low, say from a worn-out pump or a leak, the plates just can't clamp down hard enough. This creates a really long, damaging slip that sends temperature spiking and chews through that clutch material like crazy.
The third enemy is kind of like the ghost of the clutch itself. As all that friction material wears away, those tiny particles, they don't just disappear. Oh no. They start circulating in the transmission fluid, basically turning it from a life-saving lubricant into a type of liquid sandpaper. This gunk clogs up tiny, critical passages, makes solenoids stick, and just grinds away at every other part in the system.
So, what you really need to get is that wear isn't just one thing. It's a war being fought on 4 different fronts at a microscopic level. You've got surfaces literally bonding and ripping apart. You have that debris physically scraping material away. You've got heat turning the surface into a useless carbonized glaze, and all the while the constant stress is creating tiny little cracks that just keep spreading. It is a brutal, brutal process.
Okay, so that's the internal battle. That's the sciencey stuff. But what does that actually feel like for you, the driver? Let's talk about the symptoms that tell you your clutches are starting to lose the fight.
The absolute classic sign is slipping. You know the feeling. You step on the gas, the engine revs up, but the car doesn't really go anywhere faster. That's the clutch pack losing its grip. You might also notice a long pause when you shift into drive, or maybe your shifts suddenly feel really harsh or jerky. And if you ever smell something that's kind of like burnt toast, yeah, that's your transmission fluid literally being cooked by an overheating, slipping clutch. Now this failure doesn't just happen all at once. It's a grim progression. It all starts subtly. Maybe a tiny flare in RPMs when it shifts. Then it moves into stage 2, where you've got serious slipping you just can't ignore, and the fluid turns dark and smells burnt. And if you let it go, you hit stage 3, catastrophic failure. Gears are totally gone, and the whole transmission is now filled with bits of metal.
And what's really fascinating is that this path to failure looks different depending on the battlefield. In a normal automatic, like from Toyota or ZF, wear is usually a slow, gradual thing across a bunch of clutches. But in a dual-clutch transmission, a DCT, from someone like Volkswagen, those clutches engage way more aggressively, which means much higher heat stress. And then you have CVTs, from brands like Nissan, where most of the wear is focused on that one clutch that gets you moving from a stop. Okay, so this all sounds pretty bad, I know, but it's not all doom and gloom. For every one of these problems, engineers are fighting back. And this constant battle against wear has led to some seriously brilliant ideas in modern transmission design. So how are they doing it?
Well, they're fighting back with better armor for one, using advanced stuff like carbon composite friction materials that can take a ridiculous amount of heat. They're using smarter tactics, with computers that adjust hydraulic pressure in real time to make up for wear. And they're improving their supply lines with better cooling systems and advanced synthetic fluids that just don't break down under pressure.
You know, one of our sources really put it perfectly. ClutchPack survival isn't about just one thing. It is a complex, delicate dance between material science, hydraulic control, heat management, fluid chemistry, and yes, even the way you drive your car. If you get that balance right, the transmission lasts. If you get it wrong, failure is pretty much inevitable.
Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. As our cars get more and more powerful, the demands on these little hidden components just keep getting bigger. So, is ClutchPack wear just an unavoidable law of physics that we have to live with? Or is it simply the next big engineering challenge just waiting for someone to come up with a permanent solution? It's something to think about the next time you just pop your car into drive.